I'm going to try to, 5 minutes is a short time to try to say something profound, but I thought the best way to begin was to share a story, because sometimes a picture in a story worth a lot of words. And for me, I've been studying, trying to understand the relevance of new media, and from an intellectual standpoint, I understand it, and from a theoretical standpoint. But it was an experience for me this fall that really brought it all together. I took my nephew with me to Europe. And I have spent a lot of time helping him in his literacy and social studies, and I knew that this trip to Europe was going to be an opportunity to bring a lot of things together. He has studied ancient Rome, he has studied ancient Rome. He has studied a lot about America and also a lot about Europe. But when we got there, he was bored. He didn't seem interested. We're standing in front of Big Ben. And it wasn't until we were taking a bus ride where all of a sudden he remembered, it didn't go. All of a sudden he had a flashback to a video game he had played. And the video game is a video game where you're racing through the streets of Europe. And he remembered, oh, I've seen Big Ben. Oh, okay, I've been to the Colosseum. Oh, okay, I remember the Louvre. And that engagement with him has sparked an interest that then allowed me to connect what it was I wanted to talk to him about through the experience. So when we went to the Louvre, his first thought was, I remember running up the side of the Louvre, right? That's what was interesting to him. But when we got in and we decided what tour to take, he said, well, I've seen the Da Vinci Code, so can we take the Da Vinci tour? So his understanding of media, his use of media, created a space for him to learn. It's not that I'm saying that him playing the video game taught him about these places, but it enabled him to link. Because for fourth and beyond, the goal of reading is to help us learn. And if we spend a lot of time reading, but when we have the opportunity to make use of that, it's not cued, then we have to rethink how do we bring this together. Okay. So we are in a paradigm shifting moment. Oh, these slides, I was on a Mac and these didn't necessarily transfer correctly. But we're in a paradigm shifting moment. It's not that we're saying that reading and oral literacy isn't as important, but what we are saying is that in today's time, just like in the creation of the printing press, the cheapness with which we can move video around and communicate with each other means that in addition to reading and writing, we also need to be able to learn through videos, through simulations, through games. And we have to be able to figure out how to put all that together. And so kids are still going to be writers, readers, lawyers, engineers, but what it means to do that is going to be different, and what it means to bring all the media together. So our work is around figuring out how do we bring the media into creating this. And at the same time, how do we think of new careers? So the role of a designer is much more prevalent, the role of being a video game creator. And you had mentioned the year 2020, there's all kinds of careers that we've never thought about. But we do know that kids are going to have a basic fluency in all of these different media. And the challenge is, how do we engage them, and how do we engage all of our kids? And so for the past 3 years in Chicago, we created a program called the Digital Youth Network that doesn't seek to replace school, but seeks to sort of partner with schools to develop kids' digital medias outside of the traditional school day, so that teachers can then make use of those resources and those skills in their school day. So a social studies teacher can say, hey, I want you to do a documentary film, and not then have to spend 2 weeks teaching a kid how to do a documentary film, because they can assume that the kids have this skill set. And when that happens, you get an example like this. So this is a student, Will. At this point, he was an 8th grader. And the 8th grade literacy teacher, who had always, for every year, had the kids read the book Night and had them do a traditional essay response to what they learned in the book, decided that with this class, given that he was sure that they had some media skills, allow them to create their own representation. And the task was, if you had to speak to the people in the book, how would you tell them not to lose faith? That was the challenge. Many kids did traditional essays. Some kids did videos. But Will, who was a student in our digital program, considered himself a rapper. And he has spent a lot of time in the program, in the digital music piece, learning how to create music and also create his lyrics. Will is also a kid with an IEP. And on traditional tests, he is a kid who has an IEP because of his performance in literacy. I want you to hear, can you turn up the volume? Hear his take on this. And it comes from him reading the book, listening to the lectures, and this is how he's using media to put it all together. Did it start? Is the volume up? media is not coming through. I wish you can hear it. It's a wonder if you could see the lyrics. But this is his take in lyrics, both in music, of his understanding of it. And what it also demonstrated to the teacher was that he not only understood what he read, but he also understood and took in the lectures that the teacher was giving, and he put them all together. And so I end with, what are keys? What are some of the keys to integrating new media into core instruction? One is to remove the burden for developing students' new media skills from teachers and look to partnerships with outside agencies such as Boys and Girls Clubs, libraries, that can take on more of the responsibility. And this gets to G's comment about a digital teacher card. Remove the responsibility for teachers. Second, we need to combine, we need to create more ways for students to take more ownership of their work and for them to take more ownership of developing their literacies. The amount of time that they spend on MySpace and other places, if we create spaces, virtual places, social networks, where they can learn how to use new media, you'll be surprised how many will spend their own personal time doing that. And finally, we need to come up with ways of supporting teachers to embed new media into instruction. Not necessarily creating all new curriculum, but understanding how to help them create actual touch points. Thank you.